Today we're going to talk about your book, Trejo, My
Trejo.
Life of Crime, Redemption, and Hollywood. That's the name in English. We've interviewed you before. You've been a friend of People in Español and People for so many years. I was reading that this book was written with your best friend of 20 years,
Donald Lowe,
right? Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about how was the process. Who came up with the idea of the book? How long it took to write it? How did you guys do it together? All that good stuff.
Me and Donald Lowe go way back, very, very close. And we did I did a documentary called Inmate Number One. And the mother of my children saw it, Gilbert and Danielle. And she said, it's good, but it doesn't really talk about you, Daddy. It talks about what you did. So me and Donald started thinking about writing a book. And so we started writing it. My kids, I kept them. They're to this day, my daughter's here, my son's here. It's like, I've stayed real close. I did everything that my dad didn't do. Mm-hmm. And I never heard, I love you. And I don't want to sound like a little crybaby, but I used to watch parents hug their kids and say, I love you, mi amor. And my dad had the word machismo, that came from him. It's just big chest. Cabron, that was, so there was no room for that. There's no room for that.
In the book, you talk about precisely where you come from and where you went, despite all the odds, despite all the things that happened throughout your life. And I want to read something that I thought it was very, it stayed with me so much. It said, looking at my cousins and me, kneeling and praying for the second time that day after something happened at home, right? A big macho fight, speaking of macho. You'd never guess that every one of us would go to jail or prison.
Right.
But we did. No matter how close to God my mother wanted us to be, we were already on a path. We were Trejos. In my family had a legacy. If my family had a legacy, that was it. How did you get out of that legacy? That sounds more like a fate. How did you get out of that? How can someone not become the story that everybody expects them to be?
Later on in the book, it's like when I was in prison, I was in Soledad, and I expected to spend my life in prison. I had no hopes because prison is the most hopeless place there is. When you're in prison, si lo vas a hacer, if you're gonna make prison suit you, then you have no hope. You have ahorita, that's it. Prison is the most right now place there is. That's all you got. Right now you could die. Right now you could live. Right now you could eat. But that's it. No hay post mañana. There ain't none. It's just right now. And when the three of us, me, Ray Pacheco, and Henry Quijada, threw a riot and went to the hole, they were going to kill us. We were, and I remember asking Diosito, let me die with dignity. If you let me die with dignity, I will say your name every day, and I will do whatever I can for my fellow inmate. And I said inmate because I never thought I was getting out of prison. Cause I knew the only thing to get me out of prison was Diosito. There was nothing, it would be a miracle. Mm-hmm. And I honestly believe that Diosito heard me. Mm-hmm. And he just said, okay, vamos a ver. I got out of prison the next year. Mm-hmm. And I just knew, okay, I didn't promise to be good. I didn't promise, please get me out of trouble. I didn't promise, please help me with my school test. I said, let me die with dignity. My son, Gilbert, looks so much like me, but so handsome, God.
Él no es machete, no.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Uh-huh.
Because I don't think Danny Trejo's any special, but I know they have to have a good sense of humor. And because I know Diosito, he gave me the best sense of humor in the world because I was able to laugh through San Quentin and laugh through Folsom, and laugh through Soledad, and was tough enough to back up whatever I said. So it was just.
I actually think your sense of humor is disarming, and I've heard you in interviews that people ask many different things, and then you say, "Have you looked at me?" And they just can't stop laughing because you like to play with your physique and your personality, and you use it to your advantage. And I think it's a very, very smart thing to do, and that's why you've been a murderer, decapitator, like the baddest of the bad, and then a very funny guy. You can do all those things.
I've been killed more than anybody in Hollywood. I've been killed 72 times, I think. That's more than anybody.
That's the current count? Yeah, I wonder what your kids describe when they talk about you to their friends. Like, oh, my dad is a professional murderer.
It's so funny because I know what it feels like to be adored. And I have to say that, my kids adore me, and it's the best feeling in the world. And it's not because I give them everything, but it's because it's just, I know how to be a dad, not just a father, but a dad. And I think anybody can be a father, anybody can have a kid, but I think a dad is a special person. It's somebody that can love their kids when they're using drugs and do nothing but be there when they need help. Mm-hmm. And that's me. They know my kids can tell me anything and I'm there to help.
I want to finish the interview with a thought that came to me. Family is very important throughout the book. Redemption is very important throughout the book. You've reinvented yourself by changing your life and changing your story and what people expect from you. You are now the owner of taquerias, donut pubs. You've helped the homeless, you fed people, you coach kids, you help others get out of drugs, get out of gangs. And we talked about the Trejo legacy. It was not a good legacy. That's what you were handed when you were little. What would you like to be your ultimate legacy?
Well, I think that I want to be known, first of all, as a great dad, just a great dad. That's only three people I really want to look up to me as my kids. But I think my legacy, I wanted to be a humanitarian, somebody that helps. Somebody that just helps. He was always helping. And they gave me an award for being a philanthropist. Uh-huh. But I just want to be known as somebody that always was willing to help. That's it. That's it. Mm-hmm.